They don't need to defeat you, they just need you to get angry. They don't throw punches. They use silence, sarcasm, and mental games, and every time you lose your temper, you give away control, piece by piece. They don't care about beating you. They want to provoke you, to see if they can make you flinch, make you react, to test if you've truly mastered yourself or just pretending. And if you respond with rage, with yelling, with paragraphs of defense, you're telling them they still matter, that they still have access to you. They don't steal your power with force. They pull it from you through your own reactions with words, silence, manipulation that doesn't look like war, but feels like it. And every time you lash out, every time you raise your voice, every time you set the record straight, you become predictable, visible, reachable. Anger is a leash, and they're holding it until you learn to cut it. Stoicism doesn't ask you to be numb. It demands that you become unmoved. There's a difference. You're not here to suppress your emotions. You're here to command them, not to extinguish the fire, but to master it, to burn bright without losing your form, to feel the heat and remain still. Because if they can make you angry, they control your state. And if they control your state, they can control your choices, your words, your image, and even your path. There's a reason Marcus Aurelius said, "How much more harmful are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? The trigger will pass, but the words spoken in anger, the bridge is burned. The shame that follows, those remain." Anger often wears the mask of power. It's loud, intimidating, explosive, but beneath it, insecurity, wearing a lion's face. If you were truly strong, why would you need to scream? If you were truly in control, why seek revenge? If you were truly centered, why would their words even matter? The Stoics understood what most don't. We don't control people. We hardly even control the world. But we do control the most important battlefield, our mind. And if your mind still flinches when disrespected, if your heart still races when ignored, if your blood still boils when misunderstood, you're not free. They still own pieces of you. You're walking through life giving strangers the keys to your peace. That's not strength. That's emotional slavery, where anyone, at any moment, can provoke a reaction and watch you unravel for their amusement. Why? Because your anger is a performance, a need to prove, to defend, to punish. But all of it begins with one tragic belief, that your peace depends on how they treat you. It doesn't. Now that you've seen anger for what it is, not power, but dependency, you begin to understand that peace doesn't come from circumstances. It comes from inner discipline. Peace is not something the world hands you. It's the result of one clear decision. I will not give you what you want from me. Your words won't move me. Your silence won't shake me. Your games won't seduce me. Because I am not here to react. I am here to rule myself. Seneca once said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." You are being tested, not just by the world, but by the weak parts of yourself. And anger is the first weakness that pretends to be strength. It feels like fire, but in the end, it leaves you cold. So what do you do when they betray you? Mock your pain, twist your words, act like you don't exist. You breathe, you pause, you observe, you respond, not react. You turn inward, not to escape, but to anchor. Because the real storm isn't out there, it's within you, and until you can face it without flinching, you will always be at the mercy of someone else's immaturity. You don't need to get even. You need stillness. You don't need revenge. You need restraint. You don't need to destroy them. You need to destroy the part of you that still believes they define your worth. This is the way of the warrior, to be so calm, so still, so unmoved, that your very presence humbles those who once tried to provoke you. They'll wonder, why can't I get a reaction anymore? Why don't my words sting? Why don't my games work? Why does my chaos die in there? Silence, because you've changed. You no longer respond to disrespect. You don't chase closure. You don't seek to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. You let it all burn and walk through the ashes untouched. Because Now you understand. Anger was never proof of strength, it was proof of attachment. And detachment is your greatest weapon. Let them talk. Let them twist. Let them believe what they want. You don't need to fix their perception. You need to protect your peace. Because the moment you act out of rage, you lose clarity. And when clarity is gone, so is your power. The Stoic stands tall, not because he feels nothing, but because he refuses to be ruled by feeling. You are not a slave to emotion, not a puppet of their approval, not a mirror for their dysfunction. You are the mountain. They are the wind. Let them rage. You remain. Now that you've chosen silence over reaction, you've stepped into a different level of maturity. You're no longer ruled by emotions, you are guided by clarity. There's a clear line between a boy and a man. And make no mistake, they will try again. They will test your silence. They will poke at your calm. They will try to pull you back into the fire they still live in. But you've outgrown that. You no longer need to raise your voice. Your presence says everything. You don't need to make them regret it. Your success already does. You don't need to teach them a lesson. Life will. You just need to stay still, focused, grounded, unmoved. Because in the end, you win not by conquering them, but by conquering the part of you that once needed them to lose. That's what it means to let go, not to forget, not to pretend it didn't hurt, but to stop letting it own you. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are not the emotion that bursts in a moment of heat. You are the one who chooses what happens next. Epictetus taught. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And if you can master that, you master everything. Let the world spin. Let the chaos rise. Let the weak provoke. Let the noise grow louder. You don't rise to meet it. You drop into stillness. You return to center. You become unshakable. Because the only power they ever had was the power you gave them in your reaction. Now, take it back. Walk through life with calm eyes. Speak less but mean more. And when they try to pull you back into war, let your silence remind them of who you are now. Not because you're cold, but because you're finally in control.